Well, hello and a very warm welcome to the men's 12.5 kilometre pursuit competition here in Otepää. We've got a big day of racing for you today with the 2% pursuit competitions. The men's will lead the way, the women's to follow, and it will be a day of much anticipation and excitement. The wind is up, spring-like conditions here at the Tevandi Sports Centre in Otepää. And of course, those are not the wind flags that the athletes rely upon, but they are a great indicator of the challenge that the athletes must face. Dali Shevdal getting prepared. And the largely Estonian fans getting warmed up, practicing the names of all their favourite biathletes in the lead up to this race. An interesting challenge for some of the athletes starting or zeroing further down the range. If they find themselves on lane 1, they are confronted with different wind conditions than they zeroed on. Emilien Jacquelin getting his trigger pressure tested, an obligation all athletes must conform to. And Philip Navrat doing the same, and one who is dubbed as one of today's favourites alongside Isaac Leknes-Frey, the young man who unfortunately wasn't able to race at the Olympic Winter Games, where Quentin Fillon-Maillet excelled once again. The master of the big events. Johan Olapotten, the master of training hours and recovery. An ability to recuperate back to his former levels of rested self prior to major training sessions is remarkable. He is a unique individual in that sense. Oscar Lombardo, a man of the future for the French team, alongside Martin Uldal, who is very much in the same category. A super talent, young, and with many years ahead of him to impose his impact on the World Cup. And Eric Perrault, he is the leader of the men's World Cup pursuit competition. But he doesn't have the momentum. Sturla Holm Lægreid has that. He won yesterday, a decisive victory, granting himself 11 seconds over his nearest competitor, Emilien Jacquelin. And the two had the fortune of skiing together on Lægreid's second lap and Jacquelin's final lap. Well, I am Scott Dixon, and I have the pleasure of bringing this race to you today. And of course, the men's pursuit competition. It's fast-paced, and what makes this one particularly exciting from a spectator perspective is just how close the top 20 all start. There are 20 athletes all starting within 1 minute and 11 seconds of each other on this men's 12.5 kilometre pursuit competition here in Otepää, Estonia, where we are experiencing warm, spring-like weather conditions, and this track, where they will go round 5 times, will only get more broken up as the day goes on. The top end of the course loops back down through the open fields, where the athletes will find themselves swooping on some quick corners, back up under the bridge and into the range, and importantly, they'll come down into the range somewhat rested. Air temperature 14 degrees, humidity 40%. It is very hot out there. The snow is melting away, and it looks almost more like sawdust than it does snow. The dirt making its way up to the surface as Eric Perrault is getting his final stages of preparation done. Well, there's the Latvian cohort in the fans And of course, we have big names from Latvia, from the young man. Well, of course, we have Rastigujevs, who's competing today, but also Luzbers. But now, this is the podium trio. Filip Navrat hitting 10 out of 10 and skiing 8.9 seconds slower than the second fastest man. But Emilia Jacquelin was the second fastest biathlete on the day. 10 out of 10 on the shooting range. But not as complete a picture as Sturla Holm Lægreid. 10.7 seconds his advantage over Jacquelin at the finish line. Lægreid is in the absolute form of his life, and he really is a force to be reckoned with. His bronze medal at the Olympic Winter Games in the individual is his worst result in 7 races. Lægreid, with each individual race since that first podium 7 races ago, he's not left the podium. He has found the form of his life. 9 podiums in 9 races. Of course, that's including the 2 relays. But now as we take a look down the starting order, those who we can expect to climb somewhat, we have Fabian Claude, 28th is his bib number. We've seen him climb dramatically in the past in Oberhof, getting all the way to 4th. And would you believe it, starting in 37th. So now, with 11 starting places higher, we can expect to see Fabian Claude maybe get a podium today. Unlikely though that may seem. Jesper Nelin wearing 32, Fund 34, Rastigujevs 36, and Ponsaloma 39. Of course, we do have Luzbers of Latvia starting bib number 47, so he is a prospect who can climb, but also the fact that he is starting bib 47 at all, the 16-year-old, has done a remarkable job. Christo Siemer, a home favourite. You will hear the crowd cheering for him. He starts bib 15. Eric Perrault, overall World Cup points leader, overall discipline leader here in the pursuit. Johan Olapotten wearing bib 6 alongside the legend Quentin Fillon-Maillet. And wherever the fans are from, they're fans of individual biathletes as much as they are biathletes from their given nation. Isaac Leknes-Frey, he's under the age of 23. Navrat, 33 years old. Emilia Jacquelin, well, he loves the pursuit format. He shoots fast, he's audacious on the skis, and we can expect to see him close the gap to Sturla Holm Lægreid, or at least try to. But Lægreid will make that as challenging as he possibly can. Well, we are only a matter of moments away from the start of this men's 12.5 kilometer pursuit. And now they are off. Sturla Holm Lægreid gets underway now with an 11-second advantage. Jacquelin hunting him down. He likes to start fast. Will he do the same today? Well, I suspect he's going to want to close that gap. But Filip Navrat, of course, the German, with remarkable form in recent races, he's going to be hunting down the Frenchman. Isaac Leknes-Frey now getting underway for Norway. The second Norwegian now out on the tracks, but he has Quentin Fillon-Maillet on his heels. The duo will ski quick together, knowing that Johan Olapotten, Sebastian Samuelsson and Lombardo will be soon chasing them down. Now Sebastian Samuelsson, along with Johannes Dale-Chevdal, in with a chance still of contending with Eric Perrault, this man who wears bib number 12 today for the overall Crystal Globe in the pursuit. The battle is still being fought, but of course Perrault has a massive lead up at 307 points. Sebastian Samuelsson 264. So, although unlikely a victory today for Sebastian Samuelsson, he absolutely is still in contention for the discipline Crystal Globe with 2 pursuits remaining. Campbell right now getting underway for USA. And behind him, Emilian Claude. Vidmar of Slovenia gets out in ahead of Heikkinen. Producially quick to follow, and Horn of Germany. The Germans having a very mixed result, either really far down or really high up, as we saw with Navrat and his 3rd place. There goes Andrei Rastaguyev's, and we can expect to see the Latvian climb, but all eyes will be on how much Luz Bears, the 16-year-old, can climb from bib number 47. And just look how close these athletes are now. That's the difference. That's the difference simply by throwing your rifle on and getting up off the mat in a snappy manner. If you hang about, you lose a position. That really is the perfect depiction of how narrow the margins are in biathlon. Even over the course of a 24, 25-minute race. Well, this man has been the talk of so many for so many reasons since that original bronze medal at the Olympic Winter Games in the individual. But somehow, from somewhere, he has found not just phenomenal form, but the very best form of his life, and managed to secure 7 individual podiums since then. His worst position was 3rd. That is crazy. And just to read it out to you, because it is so remarkable. 3rd in the individual, 3rd in the sprint at the Olympic Games, of course. 2nd in pursuit, and then 2nd in the mass start, all at the Olympic Games. 2nd in Kontilahti in the individual. And then first. Of course, I'm including a relay there, but in the mass start and sprint in Kontilahti and Otepää, that man has secured victories. Jacquelin 9.1 seconds down. He's closing the gap, but only gradually. Philipp Navrat of Germany 16.3 seconds off the pace. Well, now we can see Isaac Leknes-Frey is guiding around one of the most experienced biathletes out there on the tracks. 392 races to Quentin Fillon-Maillet's World Cup repertoire. And just imagine that. There's 365 days in a year. Every single day of an entire year, imagine racing. That is what Quentin Fillon-Maillet has done just on the World Cup alone and more. Johannes Daly-Shevdal, 14th, just under a minute back with Victor Brandt, who had a great race, in 15th. Christiansen, 16th, and we can expect to see him climb. He started 1 minute and 11 back. He's got that to 1 minute and 3, so that does indicate that Sturla Holm Lægreid is pacing himself sensibly on lap 1, but it also, quite surprisingly, indicates that Emilien Jacquelin is also going in a somewhat calm manner. Perhaps he is cooling off from his early attacks in the first lap of racing. Well, now he's got it down to 7.8 seconds. Down from 11. 3.2 seconds gained. Philipp Navrat, measured, controlled, rhythmical. He is in absolutely phenomenal ski form. In Kontilahti in the individual, marking one of the fastest ski times. But now Quentin Fillon-Maillet taking the initiative, getting past Frey of Norway. Sebastian Samuelsson in tow, and Botten now also having connected with Lombardo just trailing off the back of that group of 4. Now Uldal, he started in 11th. He's now in 9th, so climbing up, but leading Eric Perrault, the discipline leader, as they have now, or Lægreid has now completed the first of 5 laps of this pursuit competition. The 2.5 kilometer loop, of course, being the pursuit. And they will conduct 4 visits to the shooting range, twice in prone, and twice in stand. There is the gap. For every mistake they make, they will conduct a 150-meter penalty loop, a cost of approximately 24 seconds. And that wind up at 18 kilometers an hour is incredibly strong. Blustery, dropping down to 7 kilometers an hour. Lægreid on lane 1, Jacquelin on lane 2. What a fantastic start for Lægreid there. Getting all 5 targets down despite the wind conditions up at 26 kilometers an hour, and Jacquelin contending with the worst of the wind and still getting all the targets down as Navrat does the same. Can he get 5 out of 5 straight out the gates? Well, there's a pause for the German who misses the last shot, and Jacquelin now still 8.7 seconds down as Sturla Holm Lægreid, who maintains his lead. Samuelson goes 3 for 3, Fry is 4 for 4, and now it's a full house for the first visit to the range for Fry. Botten shooting slow as he so often does in prone, gets all 5 down. Fiomaye has 3 misses, Uldal has 3 misses, and Perot. Wow, well that is certainly going to make things interesting for the overall standings as Sebastian Samuelson comes out in 4th with 42 seconds down, Navrat 5th and Botten in 6th. Hedin Salo goes clear. Now the wind really reaping havoc on the athletes there in the first visit to the range. And now I will give you an update as to Perot's performance. He will take a left onto the penalty loop. But this could be really pivotal there as we see a little bit of a collision coming onto the penalty loop. Couldn't see who it was. I believe the Estonian. However, it's always give right of way to the athlete leaving the penalty loop. Ponsaloma takes a left onto the loop as Kritschmar comes off in 13th, just in ahead of Heikkinen of Finland. Horn in 15th, 138 back, and so many taking that dreaded left turn onto the penalty loop, including Andrei Rastaguyev's. And now, let's look at the leaderboard. This man, Lægreid, after the first shoot, is still in the lead, still being hunted down by the Frenchman, Jacquelin. Lægreid might not be fighting for the overall Crystal Globe in the pursuit discipline. A very unlikely feat, if not impossible. He's down at 149 points. Eric Perot is at 307. Jacquelin arguably out of contention as well with 173 points. But Sebastian Samuelson is one to look out for with 264. If he wins today, that will put him up ahead of Eric Perot if Eric Perot finishes outside of the top 12. And we can already see that Perot has had some serious trouble on the shooting range. 3 mistakes, dropping down to 30th for the Frenchman. Opening the door as Jacquelin, now 9.5 seconds back, is unable to cause a dent on the lead that Sturla Holm Lægreid has. Well, the fastest skier on the first lap might not surprise you. That goes to Ponsaloma of Sweden. He started bib number 39. But Isak Leknes Fry managing to get all 5 targets, 48 seconds down. Sebastian Samuelson in 4th, Botten in 5th, 51.5. His slow shooting requiring him to ski faster and catch up. Navrat in 6th with a miss, but Hofer doing really well started in 13, climbed to 7th so far. You can certainly expect to see the order shuffle many times for each visit to the range with wind conditions are as extreme as these. And the likes of Christiansen capitalizing on the fact that so many are missing today, climbing from 19th all the way to 8th. Dali Shevdal, another contender for the Crystal Globe in the pursuit discipline. He is in 9th place, and of course he needs to win or at least get a podium, and for Eric Perrault to drop really far down the order for that to come true. But nevertheless, it is biathlon, and we've seen crazier things happen. '19th for Siemer of Estonia. And Eric Perrault already with 450 meters of additional skiing as a result of 3 misses on the range, is still retaining a healthy position for now. The 9th fastest ski speed for Eric Perrault on the first lap, 7.7 seconds slower than Ponsaloma, but faster than Christiansen, Fund, Luzbergs, Rasteguyevs, Jacquelin. This man, 11 seconds slower on the first lap. Well, Sturla, Holm, Lægreid, followed by Emilien Jacquelin, coming into the second visit to the shooting range. Can he maintain his remarkable streak of podiums? 7 out of 7 in terms of individual races. But now, with blustery wind conditions, he is up against the most challenging of elements, shooting with challenging wind conditions. And Emilien Jacquelin, so fast, particularly in the prone shoot. The wind conditions dropping all the way down to 7 kilometers an hour for that first shot, but then back up again as Lægreid really takes his time to get the second and third shots down. Jacquelin already closing in on the Norwegian, who goes 5 out of 5, and now Jacquelin does the same. What a performance from these two who have gone head to head all the way from the Olympic Winter Games in Antolz. But now Lægreid coming out of shoot 2 of 4 in the lead, but only 3 seconds ahead of Emilien Jacquelin of France. The chasers will be all too aware of the success of the duo at the front. Sebastian Samuelsson on lane 3, Philipp Navrat of Germany on 4, Fry on lane 5, and the first to shoot and miss. A bad start for Fry of Norway. Sebastian Samuelsson, he also joins with a miss. The only one without a miss so far is Navrat, but he shoots wide on the 4th shot. And now misses all round for the chasing 4. That gap for the 2 at the front, Jacquelin and Lægreid, is just going to open up. Can Hofer be the first to get all 5 targets? Christiansen posing a threat. Hofer with a miss. Christiansen still without missing a single target as Lombardo. Can he do it? He's got 4, he's got 5. Lombardo now the next to get all the targets down. Can Campbell Wright join the Frenchman? Yes, he can. That's 5 out of 5 for Campbell Wright. Absolutely exceptional shooting from the American as Quentin Fillon-Maillet is settling down. And Justice Strelot of Germany gets 5 for 5, as well as Eric Perrault, who's made the adjustments according to his first visit to the shooting range, which of course he missed 3. And now getting all the targets down. The beginning perhaps of his recuperation from a very bad start. Botten in 8th. Produshny in 9th without a single miss today, really climbing up the order. And Eric Perrault with a broken pole. Now there is trouble. Well, he still hasn't got a pole. But here comes support. Well, it was a scrambled delivery of the spare, but nevertheless, the delivery is in his hands. And now, of course, that will have cost him precious seconds. And we will find out exactly what happened there with that broken pole. But we're already back out and in the middle of the field where Sturla, Holm, Lægreid has managed to open up a gap over Jacquelin. He skied faster than Jacquelin in the sprint. Lægreid had the fastest overall course time, just the skiing. Jacquelin was 14.2 seconds down in the sprint, and now losing significant time to Lægreid, who took it easy on lap 1, opened it up faster on lap 2, and now is demonstrating real form on lap 3, as Eric Perrault is sailing past his competitors, trying to instigate his chase. Well, the end of shoot 2, Navrat is in 3rd, Sebastian Samuelsson in 4th, Lombardo in 5th, Wright in 6th, climbing all the way from 21st to 6th. Perhaps even more impressive than that is Justus Strelot of Germany has climbed all the way from 41 to 11th. 30 places, and we're only halfway through this race. That is a testament, first and foremost, to his ability, but secondarily to the fact that these wind conditions are throwing so many off. Philipp Navrat still on the chase, but disconnected relative to the 20 seconds he had behind coming into shoot 1. That's now over 1 minute and 10 seconds lost since the end of the first lap. Now the chasing group consists of a real variety of start numbers. Produshny 25 to 17, Heikkinen 24 to 16, Runals of Canada 35 to 13. Campbell right now of USA in 6th place, all the way from 21st. That's the kind of climb that at the end of all 4 shoots we can say is impressive. To have already done that halfway through this race, Campbell Wright really posing a threat to the podium now. Eric Perrault happy to sit on the heels of Produshny. Perrault having dropped from 12th way down the order and then climbed back up to 10th. The only one in the top 12 who's missed more than 2. Uldal also with 3 misses. It both came from the first visit to the range. Well, now we enter the range for the 3rd time. Only 4 visits to the range in this pursuit competition, and Sturla Holm Lægreid is doing it with a massive lead. He's fast on the skis, he's fast and accurate behind the rifle, and Emilien Jacquelin just cannot connect as he has a little bit of trouble getting onto the mat. Sturla Holm Lægreid now is going to be contending with wind conditions up to 29 kilometers an hour according to the graphic. As Emilien Jacquelin settles on the mat next to the Norwegian and promising to shoot fast and aggressive. Lægreid pausing and managing to get the hit. This is unbelievable shooting from Lægreid with these terrible wind conditions. That is remarkable. Jacquelin failing to match the standard of this Norwegian. Sturla Holm Lægreid is absolutely untouchable. 21 minutes to get out of shoot 3 of 4, and he is yet to miss a single target with wind conditions up to 29 kilometers an hour. That is phenomenal accuracy. That is phenomenal discipline. And what a demonstration of expertise, of mastery. "14,000 spectators here in Otepää today to marvel at that absolute spectacle of a performance from Sturla Holm Lægreid as Emilian Jacquelin completes his 300 meters of penalty and finds himself 56 seconds down in second place. Philip Navrat of Germany stands next to Sebastian Samuelsson of Sweden. And you can see those wind conditions in Navrat's hair. 15 kilometers an hour. Samuelsson managing wonderfully. Navrat throws a third wide. And look at that, 5 out of 5 for Sebastian Samuelsson. He is climbing. He's going to find himself in third, and this really puts him in a healthy spot in the fight for the Crystal Globe in the pursuit competition. Campbell Wright, can he continue his streak of brilliance today? So far, so good. Oscar Lombardo with 2 misses. Wright pausing, and rightly so. There's a miss from Campbell. Hofer taking his time to the first shot. Gets it down as Fabian Claude up at the top of the graphics is going well, with Fry getting 3 out of 3 but missing the 4th. Now Dali Shevdal, the next, who still has not yet missed. Hofer with his first. Dali Shevdal 4 for 4, 5 for 5 for the Norwegian. Dali Shevdal now putting himself in contention for a top 6. Lots of misses from Seymour, silencing the crowd of 14,000 today. Heikkinen missing the last shot. Fracture having a nightmare. He can end up on the penalty loop 4 times for Germany. And now the Hunters, Samuelsson, Dali Shevdal, 3rd and 4th, both of whom stand to battle for the Crystal Globe, especially relative to Perot, who, if finishes outside the top 12, is opening the door, presenting an opportunity, despite the fact that he has a massive lead in the overall pursuit points. Well, even if Sturla Holm Lægreid wins this one today, he still doesn't find himself in a fantastic spot in the overall pursuit points. And of course, there is still the pursuit competition in Oslo next week. So this is only setting them up for the best points possible. And now, Sturla Holm Lægreid has a massive lead. That lead was at the end of shoot 3. 56.1 seconds, and that's what 56.1 seconds looks like. And there we could see a lovely bird's eye view of the meadow as Sturla Holm Lægreid hurtled down back towards the stadium after getting out. Look at the fans gathering here. Bearing witness to the absolute brilliance from Sturla Holm Lægreid, who's set with this trajectory not to lose a single race for the rest of the season. It's absolutely extraordinary. Sebastian Samuelsson in 3rd place currently, with the 3rd fastest course time. That means just his ski speed alone on lap 3, 9.8 seconds slower than Lægreid, who took a whole 6.6 seconds off Dali Shevdal, who's got the 2nd fastest ski time. And here he is, the machine, who almost certainly will have one of the fastest last laps. He so often does. But for that to be true, he needs to be battling it out against somebody And who better than Johan Olof Botten and Campbell Wright? Campbell Wright only with one miss today. He started bib 21, he remains in 6th, but he's got Botten to carry him around. And Johan Olof Botten is one of the fastest on the skis. That man can do a 120-kilometer session the day before a race and somehow still in cross-country skiing finish in the top 15. And the Norwegian selection races, unbelievable, that man's physical ability to recover. Dale Skjevdal, 2:33 back. The gap to the top has opened out dramatically, really exemplifying what this man, Sturla Holm Lægreid, has done. Is he going to make it 8 victories in a row in the individual competitions? Is he going to make it 10 podiums in a row? Well, it's absolutely possible, and Sturla Holm Lægreid has proven so far to be in complete command of his rifle, despite the best that the wind can throw at him. Of course, with an advantage on lane 1, with the wall somewhat holding back the strongest gusts of wind, but nevertheless, shooting for the win, Sturla Holm Lægreid. Well, 4 out of 5 and 19 out of 20 is absolutely extraordinary for Sturla Holm Lægreid today. It is an absolute guaranteed win. Nobody is going to be anywhere near this man today. He can saunter around that penalty loop and he can think now of his 10th podium in a row, 8th podium in a row in terms of the individual races. And Emilien Jacquelin can only fight to defend his 2nd place now, as Sturla Holm Lægreid comes off the penalty loop in the lead, 19 out of 20 today in horrible wind conditions. He takes a glance and sees that nobody is anywhere near him and he can afford to relax. Now, Emilien Jacquelin, he does have a dramatic lead, but will open the door should he miss more than 2. Sebastian Samuelsson today has only missed 1 target and has climbed from 7th to 3rd. Jacquelin now shooting fast. Well, look at that. He takes a pause, rebreathes. Some 9-10 breaths between that 2nd rapid shot. There's a miss. Well, there's chaos as Sebastian Samuelsson hits the mat. Jacquelin looking lethargic as he gets his poles up off the mat and has Samuelsson with a chance to claim 2nd today, but he needs to get the rest of the targets down, and the wind is really making that hard. 2 misses now for Samuelsson. There's your 3rd. Jacquelin is safe, and 4 misses today. Now on the final visit to the range. That's 600 meters of extra skiing for the Swede. And he can join Emilien Jacquelin, who probably doesn't know that 2nd is in the bag. Johannes Dale Skjevdal, of course, with the last lap that he is capable of, perhaps he can throw a spanner in the works. But already starting with a miss, really showing you just how spectacular the performance of Sturla Holm Lægreid was today. All these masters of shooting, missing targets by the dozen. Dale Skjevdal the next to miss 3, and Botten with an opportunity to fight for a top 5. Campbell Wright going well. He gets the first 2 as Jacquelin comes out and can enjoy his last lap. Wright with only 1 miss today on the final visit to the range. Exceptional shooting. Uldal the same, and Navrat with an opportunity to have a ski race for the flower ceremony positions. And now Perot, damage limitation. Can he get 5? He cannot. He shoots fast. He misses 2. Or at least the graphic indicating 1 and not telling us the last. Christiansen gets 4 out of 5. And Hofer, can he do a clear on the final visit? The only man to have done so far. Lucas Hofer on the final visit goes 5 for 5 with Fabien Claude, the master climber in the pursuit competitions. Well, there is the battle. Sebastian Samuelsson is going to want to get in ahead of Uldal because these are precious points. And perhaps even climb and catch up with Campbell Wright. Botten in 9th. Spare poles going and being handed out. Once again, it looked like Navrat, the one to receive the pole. And look at that. The penalty loop is full. And Campbell Wright has had the most phenomenal race. Bib number 21, and now fighting for a podium. Well, he's fighting against Martin Uldal, who is only 3.4 seconds behind him. He's fighting against Sebastian Samuelsson, who is on the chase. This is the steepest part of the course. And look at the hunger from the Swede. He wants to close that gap. He wants to make good on an Olympics which he feels did not go his way. And he wants the Crystal Globe, but needs to put himself in the very best spot at the end of today's race. Lucas Hofer hit all 5 targets. He comes out in 6th place. He is chasing down the amazing Fabien Claude of France in 8th. And what a race. 4 in the top 8 started outside the top 10. But very little will compare to the absolute brilliance of Lægreid today. It's hard not to just talk about that 19 out of 20. He is in the most exceptional form. But there's the battle. Well, the permutations for the Crystal Globe, Eric Perrault, in his current position, would get 333 points, and Samuelsson would end up in 314 points. Uldal making a move around the left-hand side of Samuelsson, right-hand side of your screens, the Swede responding, but probably grateful to have Uldal take a shift at the front. Campbell Wright is going to be nervous, and rightly so. He has got 2 hungry Scandinavians on his heels. But look at this champion. Unbelievable. And now 8 individual races in a row on the podium. Sturla Holm Lægreid is in the form of his life. 3 victories in a row in the individual races. And now he wins in absolutely extraordinary fashion. Sturla Holm Lægreid, the Olympic champion. He is just showing us how formidable a force he is on the skis. And of course, at the Olympics, his best place was 2nd. So forgive me, not Olympic champion, but a champion in the hearts and minds of so many behind a rifle and on the skis. Emilien Jacquelat, the man who keeps finding himself one behind Sturla Holm Lægreid, the Norwegian. He's had a terrible final visit to the range. He almost felt like all was lost, probably in shock to find himself coming out still in 2nd place. 2 minutes and 20 seconds back, it doesn't matter. But this is where the fight really is. The fight is for 3rd. Uldal and Samuelsson, the duo working together, cannot close the gap on Campbell Wright of USA. Wright has only missed 2 targets today. He's climbed from 21st. And now that gap as Uldal mounts a charge. 2 minutes and 53 seconds. It's only 4 seconds between Wright and the Norwegian. Sebastian Samuelsson managing to hang on the back of Uldal. Campbell Wright must be petrified. He is doing everything he possibly can to keep the Scandinavians at bay. He wants that third position. Campbell Wright, of course, only with a mass start second place this season. That was in Novo Mesto na Moravě in Czechia. And look, there is the connection at the worst possible time. They're coming in towards the finish, and Uldal has connected on the back of the skis of Campbell Wright. They're about to hit the shade as Uldal goes around the outside of the American, and now with momentum gets by. Campbell Wright trying to respond, but Uldal too powerful. Sebastian Samuelsson is out of contention as Emilien Jacquelin coming to across the line in second place. Absolutely exhausted, but Uldal has managed to cling on, get past, and finds himself on the podium. It will be third for Martin Uldal and fourth for Campbell Wright. Sebastian Samuelsson, who started bib number 7, finishes in 5th. And what a performance from Martin Uldal. Fabian Claude, the fantastic Fabian, climbing once again from 28th to 6th. Well, we've seen him do crazier things, but Hofer with his final clear gets himself all the way to 7th. Jacquelin looks disappointed. Well, he's got 2nd, he can't be too angry. Navrat in 8th, Dali Shevdal in 9th, and Botten in 10th. Eric Perrault now in 11th. And we are very soon going to know what those permutations are for the overall battle for the Pursuit Crystal Globe. Christiansen comes across the line in 12th with 4 mistakes today. Produshny, 13th. 3 mistakes. And a great performance, climbing from 24th all the way to 14th. Heikkinen of Finland. As Karlik, Hornig, and Fry all come across the line in a fierce battle. But Quentin Fiomaye, an absolute master, missed 9 today, nearly 50%. That really is a demonstration of how hard it is. Ponsaloma, 21st. He climbed from 39th. Braunhofer doing well equally, climbing from 37th to 22nd. And I will get an update on the fastest pursuit times today. Of course, not that significant given the fact that Lægreid chilled out on his last lap because he could. But still, Lægreid, even though he was able to relax on the final lap as Burkhalter of Switzerland comes through in 28th, he finds himself 1 minute and 22 seconds ahead of Campbell Wright, the second fastest today. And look at that! Luzbers of Latvia, 31st. The 16-year-old has climbed from 47 to 31st on the World Cup stage against seniors. He's not going to be a senior for another 4 years. As he's congratulated, rightly so, by Birkentals of Latvia, his teammate, who is 8 years his senior, as they come in now thick and fast. What an unbelievable race today. Planko, with 6 mistakes today, gets in ahead of Manzin of Ukraine, and Jesper Nelin wearing bib number, or climbing, or falling down to 46. But the most impressive climb, of course, from Claude. He did it at the in Oberhof, climbing 37th to 4th. So that was a more impressive phenomena. Lucas Hofer, 13th to 7th. That's not bad. Of course, it gets harder to climb the sharper you are towards the top. Johannes Daly-Shevdal down in 9th. But now the overall standings as Jakob Fack crosses in 50th. Eric Perrault is still at the top with 337 points in the pursuit. Sebastian Samuelson gained 50 points today and is 314 points in total. Jack Campbell dropping down, of course, he's at 296, but won't be racing again this season, as we know, so is out of contention for the battle. Daly-Shevdal has 294 points, so he is a contender for the overall Crystal Globe in this discipline. Eric Perrault is so far clear, no one's touching him in the overall Globe, so it really just stands to be a battle for the Globe in the pursuit. As we can hear that applause now for the Latvian as he comes in towards the finish. That's Borgula of Slovakia with 9 mistakes today, coming through in 55th. And then wearing bib 50, Keva on home snow finishes 56th to great applause. Well, I think I speak for the entire biathlon community when I say that that was shockingly impressive from Lægreid. The challenge on the shooting range here today has been made clear by the fact that the likes of Quentin Fillon-Maillet missed 9. Other sharp shooters like Strello missed 4. As we see our last 3 come in, Connolly of Canada, Runels, who had done an amazing job in the early stages of the race to climb, and Gunka of Poland, just under 9 minutes behind the leader. But before you think that sounds way off the pace, the second place today was 2.5 minutes off the leader. Lægreid was in a completely different realm today in terms of ability. He was the second fastest on the course behind Ponsaloma, who was the fastest skier today. And Jakob coming across the line in 60th for Austria. 4 athletes missing 50% of the targets or more. But take a look at the climbing now. We've got Fabien Claude 22 positions up. He absolutely loves to climb in pursuit, and he does it through quick skiing, but also today 4 misses is pretty good. It's above average. Lucas Hofer only with 3. That's fantastic. Campbell Wright with only 2. Extraordinary, and he'll be gutted to have been deposed by Martin Uldal on the home stretch. He gave it absolutely everything he had, but Uldal just found something special on that last lap. And for perspective, Uldal was the second fastest skier in the last lap. Would you believe it that Karlik of Czechia actually had the fastest last lap by 4.6 seconds? Well, Ponsaloma, like I said, the overall fastest skier today, and Lægreid second, but Finello of Switzerland, he was the third fastest skier, only 18.1 seconds off the lead. And Sebastian Stalder of Switzerland climbing 23 places today. A brilliant performance from him. Easier to do the further back you are. Renars Birkentals of Latvia climbing 22 positions. And Lucas Fratcher climbing 9. Iliev dropping 31, that's painful. Andreas Rastriguev dropping 6, finishing 42nd. and being beaten for the first time by Luzberge. I say first time because you can expect to see that now. This super talent, Luzberge, had the 24th fastest ski speed today. He is 16 years of age. The 4-time Youth Junior World Championship medalist, 2 silvers, 2 golds. But there is the intermediate standings after 18 competitions for the Men's World Cup total score. That's including the mass start, the pursuit, the sprint, the individual. Eric Perrault at the top with 1,058 points. Sebastian Samuelsson in second with 814. Tommaso Giacomel, not racing again this season, down with 797. And then I'll read them out. 4th for Botten, 5th for Lægreid, 6th for Jacquelat, and 7th for Dali Shevdal. Well, there's 3 individual races, meaning that there is 270 points to be fought for. So it is reasonable that if Sebastian Samuelsson won all of those races, of course he can win, and Perrault would have to not race either or drop outside the top 40. But that was the moment Perrault broke his pole, just as he was putting his ski pole back on. Only himself to blame. But Perrault way in the clear for the overall Crystal Globe. He's going to get it. But is he going to get the pursuit Crystal Globe? That remains to be seen. And we will find that out next week in Oslo, Holm and Collin.
Sturla, congratulations. That was just an amazing win with such a huge gap. How did you... Congratulations. That was just an amazing competition and victory. How did you manage to shoot so well today while all the rivals were missing?
Yeah, I had a big focus today to fight for every shot, and there was some gusts of wind that disturbed my shooting, but I stayed calm. I just used the time I needed and to hit the targets, and then yeah, especially very happy with the fighting in the second prone and also the first standing when it was quite difficult. So that gave me the gap I needed into the last standing, and I knew that I could afford 2 mistakes, so less pressure, and I only had 1, so then it was an easy victory.
And you have the sprint win here and now pursuit win at the venue which will hold.
It seems like it fits me very well. So I remember from 8 years ago in the Junior World Championship, I had some good races here, and I'm still good, so so there is hope for me next year.
Then keep it up until the next year. Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, he really did fight for every single shot today. Unbelievable to be able to have that level of control and accuracy when the wind is blowing that intensely. The athletes will be cooling down after that, but these are the Men's World Cup Pursuit score standings. Eric Perrault, 3:37, being hunted down by Sebastian Samuelsson, who closed that gap by 20 points today. Johannes Dali Shevdal, less in contention, but still in contention. And then Johan Olav Smurdal Botten, if he won, you'd be at 341 points, meaning that Perrault would have to get less than 4 to win, so that's a very unlikely outcome. And then you'd have to expect that Sebastian Salmon and Dali Shevdal had a nightmare. But the battle is a 3-way one at the top of the Crystal Globe battle in the pursuit. Perrault most likely to get it, but Sebastian Samuelsson would love to end his season on a high like that. 13.7 degrees the air temperature today, and that snow is melting rapidly. Well, Eric Perrault, one of the greatest biathletes, and will prove to be one of the best for many years to come. He's likely to win the yellow bib Crystal Globe for the overall points, but he's not 100% settled on winning the Crystal Globe for the pursuit. We have, of course, the women's pursuit coming up this afternoon. So after you join us, of course, for the flower ceremony, you can join me for that. I'm Scott Dixon. I've been bringing this race to you today, and will later on this afternoon at 4 p.m. Central European time, the women's 10-kilometer pursuit will get underway. That will be led out by Julia Simon, Lisa Vitozzi in second, and Lou Jean Minot in third. And the question will be, how are they going to contend with these horrible wind conditions? We've seen that the very best can handle it magnificently, and we have seen that the very best, such as Quentin Fillon-Maillet, handled it very poorly. Here's the Esprinelli. And it's all party vibes out there in spring weather conditions. There'll be suntans all around were it not for the strong wind conditions. These supporters, of course, find themselves in the shade of the stadium, but they're out in their masses. 14,000. Well, all of these fans are now away to have a break, have some nice drinks, while the athletes are preparing for the flower ceremony. And while they do that, I thought for those keen fans among you who are joining for the flower ceremony, you might want to know some interesting facts. Well, Fabien Claude had the second fastest shoot time today. 1 minute and 54.9 seconds to do it, and only missing 4. Strello of Germany, 1:49 seconds. Fry was 1:49 as well. The fastest shooter on the podium, shock, Emilien Jacquelin, 1 minute and 55.9 seconds to get all his targets down. Of course, he had a dramatic turn of events at the end, missed 5 in total. And he got up off the mat as if it was all over. But hitting in stand today is very challenging. He missed 2, of course, in his first stand shoot, and then he missed 3 in his second stand shoot. Uldal with 5 misses today. Skied so well. And shot in just under 2 minutes, 1:59.9 seconds.
Ideal World Cup award ceremony for men's 12.5 kilometers pursuit competition in Otepää. Awards are presented by IBU Executive Board Member Franz Steiner, President of Estonian Olympic Committee, Kersti Kaljulaid. Third place, representing Norway, Martin Uldal.
Martin Uldal claiming the 3rd position today. It was a tough battle to get 3rd. He had to get Campbell Wright out of the way, and that only happened on the very final 100 meters when he made his attack, and it was a decisive attack, getting past the American and coming in to the finish with a big gap. Sebastian Samuelsson left in his wake. Martin Uldal, the 23-year-old, very much earned this 3rd place today.
Second place, representing France, Emilien Jacquelin.
Well, he may have hung his head in sorrow after missing 3 on the final visit to the range, but Emilien Jacquelin managed to retain his 2nd place, the position with which he started. He might not have retained it in the fashion he'd have liked, but Sturla Lægreid was untouchable today. A 2nd was a phenomenal performance. And Emilien Jacquelin should be proud once again to find himself on the lower rung of the ladder behind Sturla Lægreid. Well, Sturla Lægreid is just unstoppable. His form, extraordinary, phenomenal, exceptional. Pick your descriptive language. It is everything. It's hard to really understand how challenging the conditions were today when you see him make it look that easy. Sturla searched Google and still couldn't find any competition. Yeah, well, that feels true right now. 1, 2, 3, 4 wins in a row, of which, of course, there was 1 relay competition, but nevertheless, 3 wins in a row, barely missing any targets. Oh, imagine that, 4th place. If someone said you'd be 4th today, Campbell, he'd have been, yeah, I'll take that. But if you climb from 21st to 3rd, the 4th, only to lose 3rd position on the final 100 meters, then of course you're going to be sad. Sebastian Samuelsson could have done with those extra points being a little higher, but today finds himself in 5th. A good, commendable climb, 7th to 5th, but not nearly as spectacular as Fabien Claude, who once again exemplifies his pursuit ability when he's in an underdog position, all the way from 28th to 6th. Fabian Claude actually with the 10th fastest course time, 38.5 seconds, skiing slower than Perot, but only by 2 seconds. Quentin Fillon-Maillet, despite 9 misses, was the 6th fastest skier today.
And once more, congratulations to all the winners. Sturla Norway.
Well, there it is, Sturla Holm Lægreid with another win. Can anyone stop this man? Well, that remains to be seen. Do join us this afternoon, of course, at 4 o'clock Central European time. We have the women's 10 kilometer pursuit competition, where you can see Julia Simon, Vitozzi, Jean Monod, Hetty Schwarz all battle it out. It's going to be a blast. Join us for that. I've been Scott Dixon. It's been my pleasure. And until then, have a great afternoon.